I always talk about how there's only two plan types or two paths you can take when you get on Medicare. So how can there be a plan that's in between the two? Wouldn't that make it three plans or three paths? I'm Pam Turner, the creator and facilitator of the Medicare Facebook group known as Navigating Medicare the Easy Way. I help you to get rid of all those fears and worries about getting onto Medicare and enrolling in the right plan by streamlining the whole process for you. Today's topic is all about High Deductible G. High Deductible G actually falls under the Medigap side. It's truly a Medigap plan. Even if you think you're not a fan of deductibles, this plan might surprise you. It has many of the qualities that people love about Medigap plans: keeping your original Medicare, having the freedom to see any doctor that accepts Medicare nationwide, not needing a referral to see a specialist, not requiring prior authorization for most services. I'm going to explain why the High Deductible G plan might be the middle ground that you're looking for between the higher cost Medigap plans and the riskier and restrictive Advantage plans. At the very end, I'll mention the most negative qualities about the High Deductible G compared to the Advantage plans. Now, I could be wrong, but I wonder if the reason that you don't hear about High Deductible G is because it pays the least commission to independent brokers like myself. I don't leave out options that pay me less. I've helped so many people for free that never signed up on anything with me, and they've sent multiple referrals my way, and I know that rewards always come back around when I help people that need it. I've been sharing about the High Deductible G for years, and it's a nice option for people that want to save on monthly costs, and they already understand the idea of maximum out-of-pocket protection. The reason why High Deductible G is a middle ground between the more expensive Medigap plans and Medicare Advantage plans is you get the benefits of the Medigap plan with the copays that are comparable to an Advantage plan. And at the same time, in most cases, you actually get a lower out-of-pocket risk than many Advantage plans, all for a much lower monthly cost than a Plan G or a Plan N. I'm going to explain exactly how this plan works. People get scared when they hear the word deductible. You might have visions of your old marketplace or a group health plan that you had at work with a deductible in the thousands of dollars. A deductible is an amount you have to pay up front before the plan starts to pay. When we hear the word deductible, we instantly think about having to pay full price until we hit a very high number. This plan doesn't work that way. I'm surprised they even call it a High Deductible G. It's more like a maximum out-of-pocket protection plan. Here's the reality of how it works. On High Deductible G, you're really just paying your copays on original Medicare until you hit a maximum out-of-pocket amount on the High Deductible G. Then it turns into a regular Plan G. Let me break this down a little bit more. You pay original Medicare copays on High Deductible G when you start out the calendar year. You don't pay the full cost of the medical service like you normally would on other high deductible health plans. Let me repeat that. You don't pay the full cost of the medical service like you normally would on other high deductible plans. That's because Medicare will already be covering 80% of your costs. Here's what those copays look like. If you know anything about original Medicare, you know there's a small deductible you have to meet first. This year it's $257. That amount does go up every year, so that is a factor to consider. Also, I didn't actually mean to mention this, but it just popped in my head. The deductible of the High Deductible G also goes up every year a little bit. So just keeping that in mind as we go through this material. Now that $257, that's the Medicare Part B deductible. It has nothing to do with the Medigap plan. After meeting that $257, you pay 20% of all your medical costs except hospital. When you're hospitalized, you pay $1,676, which gives you inpatient hospital care, room and board for up to 60 days. Now tell me what insurance you've ever heard of that lets you pay only $1,676 for up to 60 days in the hospital. So in the big picture, it's really not that bad. All these numbers are to explain how High Deductible G works because these are the copays that you'll be paying until you hit that set cutoff dollar amount on the High Deductible G. That set number is $2,870 in 2025, and that's the amount I was just mentioning a minute ago that does creep up a little bit every year. Aside from the monthly premium, your medical out-of-pocket can't go higher than that $2,870. At least for 2025. Now, that's why this High Deductible G is more like a max out-of-pocket protection plan. To recap what I just went over, on a High Deductible G, you pay all your original Medicare costs up to $2,870. You're paying the first $257 of medical care at full price. Then you pay 20% up to the $2,870 or $1,676 if you're hospitalized. For the sake of simplicity, I didn't mention skilled nursing, which also has a per day copay of $209.50 per day. That's $209.50 per day, which cuts off also at the $28.70. It's the high deductible G that's protecting you and giving you the cutoff of the $28.70 in a year, because on regular Medicare alone, there's no cutoff point to your expenses, which can be kind of scary. It's 20% infinity. You can also run out of hospital days on original Medicare without a supplement plan. Plus, the skilled nursing I just mentioned has a $209.50 per day copay from days 20 to 100, so having that cutoff of $28.70 is a big benefit. So what would 20% look like for a copay? A standard office visit at the discounted Medicare rate might be between $80 and a couple $100 at the most. You're likely to pay $20 to $40 for office visits on a high deductible G plan after you've met your deductible. If you've ever seen the copays on an Advantage plan, many of the copays are comparable to what the 20% would be. So that's why your out of pocket on a high deductible G would be a very similar experience to an Advantage plan without all the restrictions. Because with high deductible G, you still get the freedom of original Medicare. And the out-of-pocket cutoff on an Advantage plan can be very high in some areas of the country, as high as $6,000 to $8,000 for a calendar year. I hope this makes sense so far how this works. So what would the monthly cost of the premium of this plan likely be? High deductible G can run as low as $40 per month on average, or up to the $50 to $60 range per month, depending on what state you're in and your age. On a regular Plan G, all you ever pay out of pocket is the Medicare $257 deductible, and then you don't pay any out of pocket after that, except for prescriptions. So prescriptions are a whole separate thing. You have to get a separate plan for that. Also, the popular Plan N is similar to Plan G, but requires up to a $20 office visit copay, $50 for emergency room, and doesn't cover excess charges in most states, which are not very common to begin with. So if you don't like the idea of having to pay this many costs up front on the high deductible G, you can get most costs covered on a Plan N or everything covered on a Plan G after the small Medicare deductible. You do also have to purchase your drug plans separately with any of the Medigap plans, including high deductible G, whereas on an Advantage plan, it's bundled in. You might be wondering, what's the difference in cost between the high deductible G and the regular Plan G? How much are you really saving, and is it worth the savings? I'll give a couple examples. In my zip code in Florida, for a female age 65 Plan G with several carriers that I use most often in Florida, prices range from $183 a month to $211 a month, versus the high deductible G, which would range from $46 to $54 a month. I also like to use Virginia as an example of a much less expensive state than Florida. So here's an example in Richmond. Female, age 65 Plan G in the $97 to $140 range, and high deductible G would run between $33 to $42 per month. Now here's a couple negative points about the high deductible G versus the Advantage plan. First off, most Advantage plans don't have an upfront deductible to meet, and you just go straight to copays. And on the high deductible G, you have to pay a bit more upfront because you have to meet that first $257 of the Part B deductible. Secondly, if you have to be hospitalized on an Advantage plan, the cost could be a lot lower if you are only in the hospital for a few days. Most Advantage plans have a flat copay of several $100s per day that are cut off after so many days. So imagine it's just a few days. However, if you have a long stay on the Advantage plan and you max out those days, it maybe could be higher. However, I just want to pinpoint that in some cases it could be lower on the Advantage plan, while on the high deductible G, you'd have to pay the entire $1,676 even for just one day as an inpatient. Also, emergency room tends to run about $125 on most Advantage plans as a flat copay. On the high deductible G, it would be 20% of the ER visit out of your pocket. Now, the rate you pay, keep this in mind, though, is deeply discounted on Medicare. So it would be 20% of that deeply discounted rate. Maybe wouldn't be as high as you'd think, but still likely to be a lot higher on the high deductible G compared to the Advantage plan for that ER visit. But remember, your max out of pocket would be $28.70 on the high deductible G, whereas on the Advantage plan, the max out of pocket could be as high as $6,000 to $8,000 in a calendar year. This depends on so many factors, what the plans are like in your area, whether you're in a big city or rural, and different factors. So it just depends on what you have available in your area. If there's any questions, let me know in the comments. Even if you're watching back the replay, I have a quick announcement that I'm going to be running my new to Medicare week-long boot camp in this group. Now it's for 1 week. It's going to be the week of Monday, May 19th to the 23rd. So this simply involves one short actionable video each day over the course of those 5 days, updated for 2025, of course, with everything you need to know about the process of getting onto Medicare for the first time. So if you'll be needing that information or know anyone that could use it, invite them to join this group. I'm going to be mentioning this event quite a bit over the next month or so. Everyone that isn't in the group yet and needs this information, all they'll need to do is just request to join, and they'll have access to this new to Medicare bootcamp starting on May 19th. If you want to work with me for free, to learn about these plans and get set up on one of these plan types, Medigap or Advantage plans, you can go straight to the contact page on my website, decodingmedicare.com, to see my availability and book directly on my calendar. Sometimes the hardest part is narrowing down the options and knowing what will work for you. As I was saying in the beginning, I help you to eliminate a lot of the fears and the worries that go along with getting onto Medicare and picking the right plan, because I guide you step by step, make sure everything is done on time and in the right order. I help you to find your perfect Medicare plan in just a few hours or less of your time. It might be over a couple weeks, but we just meet a little bit, maybe book a second call. It saves you all the research and overwhelm. You don't have to start from scratch and reinvent the wheel. I've been there, done that with hundreds of Medicare eligibles. And once I get you up to speed, I help you make a decision. I handle the enrollment for you and the ongoing maintenance of your Medicare plan. And you can already see that I'm including all the types of plans in my presentations here in the group. I'm not just steering people to high commission plans. I'm not pushing an agenda, trying to meet some kind of sales quota. I work for myself. My mission is to educate you, to form relationships, nurture you ongoing, and make sure that you're not left to fend for yourself later when questions come up. If you're not sure if switching your plan is right for you, if you're already on Medicare, or if getting a Medigap plan for the first time is right for you, there's so many different scenarios out there, but you can message me for more information and pricing before booking a call to see if you will even qualify to switch your plan. I hope you got a lot out of this topic today. Don't forget to message me here on Facebook or on my website, or book a call through decodingmedicare.com if you're ready to talk. Have a great day, everyone, and I will see you in the next video.